Yo, it's Austin. Another year, another Sword Art Online game, but this time, the gun one, Fatal Bullet. Now, I've been getting a lot of messages from you guys being like, hey Austin, this one's good, I swear on my life. And instead of just going in automatically assuming I'm gonna be upset, I thought, hey, let's try this one with a fresh mindset. This certainly isn't our first time around the SAO track. First we looked at Lost Song, which fell short due to its weird control scheme and story. Then we played Hollow Realization, which despite letting me make my own original character, ended up just being Kirito. Even though I made a cutie poo who wasn't Kirito, but I digress. Namco Bandai's promise with Fatal Bullet is that you can become the hero. For those of you who don't know, myself included, after rescuing Asuna from Alfheim Online, the entire cast of SAO decided to continue to play VR MMOs with the promise that the new device, the Amusphere, would prevent Big Death from ever happening again. Well, I've gone into a lot of detail with the problems I have with Sword Art Online, but let's suspend our disbelief for just a little bit and say that yes, everyone was actually a filthy MMO addict and was okay with the slight possibility of dying and or getting trapped again. After all, now that I'm not being forced to play as Kirito, we might get a deeper appreciation for the world and characters not trying to slide into the harem. And so, without further ado, let's slap on our VR helmets and full dive into the world of Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. You know, I'm actually pretty excited for this one because it's like a third-person shooter and you can make your own OC, and it looks pretty cool, and I know I have the collector's edition. Shut up. So right off the bat, after signing the terms of service, Fatal Bullet tosses us into character creation, which is actually a lot more than I was thinking it would be. Even if all the female faces suffer from SAO syndrome because they all have the exact same shape, even though the dudes don't, then boom, it's time to go. Introducing Eruption, my green-haired goddess. The intro to the world here is actually pretty neat from a player perspective. This is your first VR MMO and your character reacts thusly. You even meet up with your childhood friend trademark, Kureha, who is all like, what? You didn't recognize me, best friend Kun? And then loading. Huh? Guess what? My game hung up loading. I waited 10 minutes and nothing happened, so let's just reset. But no, it's still loading. I thought my PS4 might have been kind of dirty, so I pulled it out, cleaned it all up, made sure the disc was nice and good to go, and no? Okay, let's just make another character then, fine. Slap together a replacement, Erupti. Well, oh, it works now. Well, that's weird. I like my other character a little more though, so let's see if that'll work. Wait, it won't load her. Did I just make a cursed character? Like seriously, no matter what I tried, my original Eruption character wouldn't boot past the first cutscene, so I guess I'm just gonna leave her there. Forever. Eruption is dead. I wish this wasn't what happened, but I mean, that's something to keep in mind. There's a small chance you might make a character that you just can't play as because they're cursed, so I guess that's the thing. Now that we actually get to play the game, I'm kind of enjoying it. There's no sign of the cast of SAO yet. I'm just on my own little post-apocalyptic sci-fi adventure shooting things with my childhood friend. The controls and general feel of the combat are pretty solid so far. Oh wait, Kirito! He's trying to kill me! Oh god! Is that what happens when he deems you not harem-worthy? So basically, you and Kureha stumble upon a chest containing an AI character called the Arphasis that follow players around. The one the protagonist gets is a Type X, which are supposedly the best and rarest AIs in the game. You get to design the look and name of this character, so I decided to go with Sion after our favorite little soy bouncer. Despite being ready to slit my fucking throat open, Kirito backs off when he realizes that Sion has already claimed me as his master and decides to introduce me into his harem. It was at this exact moment that I realized, yes, this is still a Sword Art Online game. A Sword Art Online game with many cutscenes for all of your favorite SAO characters. Lowly girl, dead girl, strong female lead who becomes damsel in distress, who is now reserved to just being a seamstress for the group girl. It's all represented. So Kirito and his gang all decide to just play this new MMO together. My little Sion isn't quite at his full power yet, so we're off to embark on an adventure to get all of his parts and make friends, yay. But not before Kirito tells me that you remind me of me when I was younger, 0 friends. Wow man, thanks. Also, it's snuggle time.
this. Why? Then finally, after like an hour, we're allowed to play the game, and dude, I like it. Most of it. I kinda like it. I don't know. In my entire time here on YouTube, I don't think I've ever felt such a love-hate relationship with a video game, but Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet has presented me with just that. Let's talk about how this plays. First up is the field. Considering this game is modeled after an MMO, I would say they did a good job representing that. Not just that, they actually made it pretty fun to play. While heading to main objectives, you've got these large fields filled with enemies and side quests to do. Other AI players run around and you can gank them MMO style. However, it's due to the smooth and well-made gunplay that makes this all work so well. Weapon variety is pretty much everything in Fatal Bullet. You've got pistols, shotguns, assault rifles, submachine guns, rocket launchers, sniper rifles, and even swords. Or eventually you can go Kirito style and use a gun and sword if you really want to. About 2/3 of the way through the campaign, you also unlock the ability to dual wield weapons, which is good and fun for those just wanting to go ballistic. You can have 2 separate arms equipped, and switching between them is as easy as pressing right on the D-pad. Beyond that, you have weapon skills like power auras, heals, buffs, or my personal favorite, the sliding shot, which has gotten me killed so many times. Then you got gadgets like first aid kits and grenades. Utilizing these in combat's really easy to pull off, and you'll feel like a badass running around throwing grenades and just killing everything. Now, it's rare for a Japanese developer to have shooting be the main mechanic of gameplay, especially with anime games. They seem to favor fighting combat or swordplay. And well, Fatal Bullet's not exactly immune from that old school middle budgeted anime game jank. Aiming can feel a bit wonky and hard to pull off at times, especially if you're playing the console version with a controller. However, they did do a thing that I actually really like. Taking a gander at this footage of shooting everything, it looks to be chaotic and fast-paced. Maybe not quite like Vanquish levels of chaotic, but still. A lot of American-made shooters don't throw this many baddies at you at the same time. So in order to counteract this while still feeling anime as fuck, Fatal Bullet has the assist mode bullet circle. This can be toggled on and off, but I prefer having it on because it makes things feel really fast. By aiming in the general direction of an enemy, your attacks will usually connect, but with less accuracy. That way, you can have faster moving combat that looks visually slick, but you can still aim down iron sights to try and get those critical weak point hits for bigger numbers. Then, and yes, then, on top of that, you get a hookshot thingy. This is used more in dungeons for mobility, but you can grapple onto ledges and use it for a quick getaway from bosses or even pull down smaller drones. You're like flying and shooting shit all over the place, and it feels pretty good, man. I'm genuinely surprised by this.
We have said a lot of good things about Sword Art Online, and that's weird. After Hollow Realization, I really thought that they were gonna go down the route of bad forever, but it seems like they kind of just swung for the fences with this one. However,
despite everything I've been saying, there's so much about Fatal Bullet that bugs me, so much that prevents me from fully recommending this to people. So I'm gonna separate this into different sections of laments. Okay, let's go. Namco Bandai is expressing that Fatal Bullet is your story in which you are the hero. And well, for some of it that's true. However, and I honestly should have expected this one, but it's not a proper SAO game without Kirito and his crew shitting all over everything. And when I say shitting, I mean like actually reminding me of what I'm playing. Fatal Bullet was at its strongest moments when I felt like I was playing an actual MMO. The amount of times you have to run back and talk to Kirito and his friends is abysmal. Once you complete the tutorial of the game, you have to play Errand Boy and meet the entire cast of SAO in a segment that takes easily an hour. You meet everybody, included noted waifus such as Rain, who? It's strange going from the fast and furious gameplay of Fatal Bullet into the cutscenes where it's like default animations, 3 camera angles, everyone hanging out in Kirito's room all the time. Wait, why is everyone in Kirito's room? Yeah, that's right. 3 of the major shops operate out of Kirito's room. His room, not his town, his fucking room. You can buy stuff and accept quests outside, but if you want crafting, weapon enhancement, or costumes, you gotta do it in Kirito's room. Like, why? At any point in time, there are like 10 or more people just standing around Kirito doing absolutely nothing. The one thing I dug about Hollow Realization was that the characters could run around and have a little bit of agency, but in this game, it's like, yo, where'd that Kiri dick get? The story is a bunch of nothing until it eventually turns into an alternate version of Gunplay Online from Sword Art Online 2, so I just feel like it's a wasted opportunity to give us something more interesting. It's strange that they advertise Reiki Kawahara as having supervised Fatal Bullet's original story, considering it's literally just a slightly tweaked version of what already exists. But with OCs, do not steal. Eventually in the story, you'll unlock Kirito mode. Yeah, it's actually called that, where you play as Kirito and do the actual thing from Gunplay, so it's like, damn, I thought I could go through this game without playing as Kirito, but I was wrong. In fact, I played this game for like 15 hours Kirito free. My party always consisted of myself, Sion, Kureha, and Sinon, because she's a fucking cutie, before entering a part of the story where Kirito inserted himself into my party. He's all like, yeah, I'm the strongest here, so I'll go. Just one. I just wanted one game, dude. Unfortunately, the trend of running back to Kirito doesn't stop in this game. Fatal Bullet is best when it's sans Sword Art Online, but this is a game called Sword Art Online, so I guess I'm fucked. So earlier I mentioned the jank. Well, it's back and in full force. Now you got small things like geometry being not very stable, or frame rates dipping in heavy situations, grappling onto the edge of a platform, and being stuck in a flipping animation. But all of this is stuff I can look past. Beyond that, a lot of graphic design falls flat. While it's captivating at first, it's really hard to tell the difference between the dungeons when they all look like parking garages. The same exact parking garage. I was really intrigued when I heard that Fatal Bullet was inspired by Dragon Age 2's dungeon design, but hey, I guess that's what we get. Low budget anime. But despite combat feeling for the most part pretty alright, a lot of the things surrounding it are very Now every enemy has a noticeable weak point and an optimal strategy to take it on. When you're in the field or dungeons and there's a ton of enemies on screen, combat can be very exciting. Fatal Bullet has a really neat system called bullet lines, where you can see exactly where enemies are aiming, which allows you to try and take cover when necessary. This of course means that in PvP situations that you have it too. But all too often, you'll find yourself running head on into a situation where you're just gonna, yeah, that. Now you can deck out your party however you'd like with the characters that you want to use. There's a bunch of classes like Destroyer, Tank, and Engineer, so you can make the comp that you feel supports you the best. But keep in mind that the AI here seems to just not do anything. They seem to literally be brain dead unless you give them direct commands. Like, here, I died. It's a good thing that you were all so helpful for that entire fight. And if that sounded familiar, it's because I ripped it straight out of my last SAO video. It's a good thing that you were all so helpful. Some things never change. However, Fatal Bullet is a lot more punishing than Hollow Realization. You can die way faster, and healing yourself is something that's a little harder to do considering it's tied to weapon skills, most of which are for targeting allies. The jank shows really hard in situations like this, where I get locked into a room with two dudes who take me out in a split second. So now my allies are all trapped outside as the door won't open. One by one, they teleport in, trying to resurrect me, only to also die. Like, come on. The AI was pretty bad in Hollow Realization, but I'd say they're abysmally worse in this game. Which brings me to my next point. I would say the major reason that I was interested in Fatal Bullet was the prospect of multiplayer. I saw videos on the YouTubes of people playing the game, fighting bosses together with their AI minions, and it looked like so much fun. Groups of Sword Art OCs rolling around, killing big old monsters, getting loot and shit, and it was like, oh yeah! Also, it's by the Freedom Wars people, and that's a good game. But I should have read the text that came with it. Here's what I pictured. That's not what we got. The way co-op works in Fatal Bullet is like this. As you play through the game, you unlock boss fights. You can go online and fight those bosses over and over for fast times and a few loot drops. That's it. No experience points or money, no co-op missions, no running around in the field with your friends, no exploring this world with your blood brethren, no dungeon diving and farming for loots and XP with your worldwide best friends like you might do in an MMO style game. Just bosses, just boss farming, that's it. Man, shoot. Now, it's not like I was expecting a game with actual MMO depth. I knew I wasn't gonna be getting a Final Fantasy XIV scale, not even close. But I guess I was hoping for something with the accessibility of, say, Phantasy Star Online or Monster Hunter. When I find myself in dungeons getting my ass jackhammered by mobs, seeing my AI be completely useless against bosses, I can't help but wonder if this was something they wanted to do in the first place. It's a huge shame, and honestly, my largest knock against this game, since you can skip all the cutscenes. Literally 18 years ago, Phantasy Star Online came out and gave us this large yet contained world. You could explore it with friends, grind bosses, grow together. Hell, you can still play it today on private servers, and I find myself doing that, having a grand time with it. Fatal Bullet reminds me of PSO in a lot of manners, but in the end, I found myself just wanting to play Phantasy Star Online instead, so I did. Probably a lot more than I should have. But on the flip side of things, PvP is kind of weird, but also kind of fun. There's two types of PvP, Avatar Match, and then a mode where you can play as actual SAO characters. A bunch of people in my Patreon Discord community picked up the game, and we did a few PvP matches, which to my surprise was a ton of fun. It's basically two teams fighting against each other to do more damage to a boss, just like the co-op mode, but you can also attack people on the enemy team. It's kind of strange that they wouldn't implement a full-on team deathmatch mode, but this will do for now. I don't hate it. Take your win, SAO. Although we literally could never get a single online ranked match to happen because no one was playing it, so player matches it is. Oh, also Avatar PvP is impossible starting out because you're actually just too weak and will die in one hit. Oh well. At the end of the day, Fatal Bullet was packed to the brim with potential, but fell under the good old licensed anime game trap, which is a damn shame. Buried under a bunch of shenanigans of the sword art variety was a game that was almost there, but instead of being able to embark into this cool futuristic anime sci-fi world with guns and flips and weird hats, I was forced to digest endless cutscenes and weird, creepy sex stuff again. Weird that my sword art OC got to get freaky with all the cast Kirito supposedly heavily invested in. It just feels weird. It's to the point now where you can make your online card say this, and well, I guess that says a lot. While it is a big improvement over the sex cuddle minigames of Hollow Realization, it's still enough for someone who isn't a fan of SAO to be completely skeezed out. This world they created is actually very interesting, but it feels like a lot of the budget was used in fanfiction tier writing and harem nonsense instead of, you know, making a good game. Of course, SAO fans out there will say, hey, maybe don't play the SAO game, but listen, I want to be engaged in your franchise, I really do. It's just hard when I have to deal with my AI companion trying to sex me up. Get out of here, Sion, I don't want your soy juice. Fatal Bullet does a lot of things that I like with its gameplay and aesthetics. Characters and their hair sheens are out in full force. It has a style that is unique and is set in stone. The music that plays in the fields and dungeons is dynamic with combat, which is something I praise Phantasy Star Online endlessly for. Having the same tune get more intense when battles begin just adds so much. The boss variety was actually a lot more than I thought we would get, and tackling them felt unique. Even if later in the game they were reused, the different strategies you had to utilize made them memorable. Character customization and outfitting is surprisingly deep. I can make my cutie look any way I want as long as it's not exactly like my cursed avatar, but hey. Without proper multiplayer implementation, Fatal Bullet isn't really something I can recommend. Unless you're just here to jerk off, by which, go for it. This is your game.
So there you have it, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. Another SAO game tackled, and we'll wait for next year when we inevitably get another one. Hopefully the one that the franchise deserves, but for now, I'm gonna go play more Phantasy Star Online.
Thank you all so much for watching. Big shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. It's thanks to you guys that we're able to put out videos this frequently. Every single dollar you guys pledge goes such a long way, and I'm very excited to keep this ball rolling. If you like the video, check out my channel. There's more videos here, including another Sword Art Online video if you want to watch that one. That was a pretty good one. I like that one. I talk more about the anime there, but it's fine. Make sure to follow me on Twitter if you want to see a bunch of weird nonsense, and I'll see you guys next week with a new video, because we're gonna try to do weekly.